And Jesus went up into a boat and passed over the water and came into the city. And lo, they brought to him a man sick in palsy, lying in a bed. And Jesus saw the faith of them and said to the man sick in palsy, Son, have thou trust, thy sins be forgiven to thee. And lo, some of the scribes said within themselves, This blasphemeth. When Jesus had seen their thoughts, he said, Whereto think ye evil things in your hearts? What is lighter to say, Thy sins be forgiven to thee, either to say, Rise thou and walk? But that ye know that the man's Son hath power to forgive sins in the earth. Then he said to the sick man in palsy, Rise up, take thy bed, and go into thine house. And he rose and went into his house. And the people seeing dreaded and glorified God that gave such power to men. When Jesus passed from thence, he saw a man, Matthew by name, sitting in a toll booth. And he said to him, Pursue thou me. And he rose and followed him. And it was done, while he sat at the meat in the house, lo, many publicans and sinful men came and sat at meat with Jesus and his disciples. And the Pharisees saw and said to his disciples, Why eateth your master with publicans and sinful men? And Jesus heard and said, A leech is not needful to men that fare well, but to men that be at evil at ease. But go ye, and learn what it is. I will mercy, and not sacrifice. For I came not to call rightful men, but sinful men to penance. Then the disciples of John came to him and said, Why we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? And Jesus said to them, Whether the sons of the spouse may mourn, as long as the spouse is with them, but days shall come, when the spouse shall be taken away from them, and then they shall fast. And no man putteth a patch of rough cloth into an old clothing, for it doeth away the fullness of the cloth, and a worse breaking is made. Neither men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles be broken and destroyed, and the wine shed out. But men put new wine into new bottles, and both be kept. Whiles that Jesus spake these things to them, lo, a prince came and worshipped him, and said, Lord, my daughter is now dead, but come thou, and put thine hand on her, and she shall live. And Jesus rose and his disciples, and pursued him. And lo, a woman that had a bloody flux 12 years nighed behind, and touched the hem of his cloth. For she said within herself, If I touch only the cloth of him, I shall be safe. And Jesus turned and saw her, and said, Daughter, have thou trust, thy faith hath made thee safe. And the woman was whole from that hour. And when Jesus came into the house of the prince, and saw minstrels and the people making noise, he said, Go ye away, for the damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they scorned him. And when the folk was put out, he went in, and held her hand, and the damsel rose. And this fame went out into all that land. And when Jesus passed from thence, 2 blind men crying pursued him, and said, Thou son of David, have mercy on us. And when he came into the house, the blind men came to him. And Jesus said to them, What will ye that I do to you? And they said, Lord, that our eyes be opened. And Jesus said, Believe ye that I may do this thing to you? They said to him, Yea, Lord. Then he touched their eyes and said, After your faith be it done to you. And the eyes of them were opened. And Jesus threatened them and said, See ye that no man know. But they went out and famed him through all that land. And when they were gone out, lo, they brought to him a dumb man, having a devil. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb man spake. And the people wondered and said, It hath not been seen thus in Israel. But the Pharisees said, In the prince of devils he casteth out devils. And Jesus went about all the cities and castles, teaching in the synagogues of them, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every languor and every sickness. And he saw the people, and had ruth on them, for they were travailed, and lying as sheep, not having a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, Soothly, there is much ripe corn, but few workmen. Therefore pray ye the Lord of the ripe corn, that he send workmen into his ripe corn.